How's it going, guys? So back with the second episode of Gavins series. So today we do deadlift before this, but he didn't get it on film. But anyway, there's a few things I want to go over. The main kind of things that I'm wanting to tackle with Gavin over the next coming weeks is not really focusing so massively on improving strength, because his strength is improving regardless, but really working on improving his form. So for example here, let's start from the top to the bottom. So the one thing I noticed with his bench press is I really want to include a lot more extension in his T-spine. So his T-spine, his thoracic part of his spine, for those of you that don't know, if you don't know what the thoracic part of your spine is, then go Google it. I want more extension in his thoracic spine, and I want a lot more tightness in his lower body. There is almost no tightness in his lower body, and he is just completely leaking power. So his bench, for his body weight, it is a good bench press, but his technique is flawed. However, I am happy with the work ethic that he's putting in, and he is getting better. So moving on to his squats, again, his strength is not an issue here whatsoever. Where his issues lie is just certain technique factors. For example, there's no external rotation in his hips here. He really isn't externally rotating his hips, and he's keeping an extremely vertical tibia and fibula. So below his knee he's keeping very vertical, and that is due to, in my opinion, mobility factors and a lack of dorsiflexion. So again, the weight is the weight's moving quickly. The strength is not an issue. What the issue is mobility factors and also technique issues. So although again there are certain technique issues in the upper body, in his lower body, I really want to introduce a lot more external rotation, and I also really need to improve dorsiflexion. Now, one of the things as well as affecting his squats is that his glutes are a weak link in his chain, and due to that also will make external rotation hard. So for those of you that maybe, I have this issue as well, but when you're squatting, if your knees cave in, or you really struggle to externally rotate your hips, that is also, although there can be mobility factors down to that is also down to a weakness in your glutes. So a lot of times if your knees cave in, well, then you see so many people saying, oh, drop the weight, let's work on this, let's work on that. But actually, see, if you improve your glute strength, then that is probably going to vastly prevent the caving in of your knees. So again, we're working on his technique all the time, but the main factor with Gavin is that his work ethic is second to none. He works extremely hard. He goes in, there's no excuses that are made or anything like that. But from watching this video with his bench press, we need to work on T-spine extension, so thoracic spine extension, more of it, and we need to work on locking down that lower body, and also on his squats, work on some mobility factors, and also being able to open up those hips a little bit more. So we didn't get day 2 on film, but here's day 3. His deadlifts, from watching these, are a big improvement from last week. I'm very happy with how it's progressing. Only thing is at the bottom position, if you notice, his right hand is slightly more out than his left arm, and he corrects this by moving up. But again, that isn't what we want. We want the starting position to be the exact same hand position as the end position. So again, they do look better, but still some things to work on. Again, there still is, even in his deadlift, there's absolutely no external rotation in his hips whatsoever again. So that's something we kind of need to work on, but it is much improved from last week. Another thing is that midweek as well, on cycling on his way to work, he came off his bike. We can laugh about it now because he is fine, but he did hurt one of his wrists. So you will see him, he's using wrist wraps on one of his wrists, as it was a little bit sore and he didn't want to flare it up while doing his floor presses. But all in all, I'm happy with how things are progressing. As I said before, although we are wanting to gain a lot more strength, that will happen, but what we're really wanting to focus on is technique. with him, and it is getting better. As you see here, his legs are very internally rotated at the bottom of his movement, so that is something to work on. But again, I'll get all the points of the workboard, the whiteboard, go over it with him and implement them, and each week he will be getting better and better. And I strongly believe that before the end of the year he will have a 500 pound beltless deadlift. Then whether or not he chooses to invest in a belt is a different story. As I've said previously, personally, if you're not a competitive powerlifter, I don't always think investing in a belt is necessarily a great option. It's not a bad option, but it's not necessarily something you always need to work on. So this is going to be wrapping up the video. Next week I will get day 1, day 2 and day 3 all up there. Gavin's body weight right now is sitting around 84 kilos in the morning, so all is going well. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. I appreciate you sticking around this long. If you stuck around this long, make sure you give the video a like, comment down below, let me know what you think. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what you saw, then please subscribe, show Gavin some support in the comments, give him some love, and as always, I will see you in the next video, guys.